I didn't get an invitation to my brother's wedding, so I went on a trip. Sorry, dear, this event is only for the people we actually love, my mother said. Dad added, some people just don't belong at family celebrations. Finally, a wedding without the family disappointment. Aunt chimed in, real family only means real family. When the wedding was canceled because of a debt, the whole family started begging me, but it was too late. My name is Madison Cole, I'm 28. And if you think you know how this ends, stay tuned. What happens when the scapegoat they cast aside holds the very key to their survival? I still remember the sting in my chest when the invitation never arrived. Everyone else received glossy envelopes tied with gold ribbon, but my mailbox stayed empty. When I asked, Mom's words slid like venom. Only for people we love. Dad chuckled, calling me the family disappointment. Aunt twisted the knife with her smug declaration of real family. So I did the only thing I could. I smiled, booked a flight, and left. While they toasted each other and planned photo-perfect moments, I wandered cobblestone streets in a city I had always dreamed of visiting. I took pictures of sunsets, ate meals alone but in peace, and told myself over and over, they can't hurt me if I'm not there to be hurt. But pain lingers even in paradise. Their voices replayed in my head at night, rejection sharp enough to echo across oceans. Still, distance gave me clarity. If I was always the disappointment, then why did they lean on me for favors? Why did my irrelevant life pay their bills more than once? And then came the twist. A frantic message popped up during my trip. Wedding canceled. We need you. Please help. I stared at the words until they blurred. The people who had erased me from their perfect family portrait now begged for my ink to rewrite their story. But I had already chosen my role, and it wasn't theirs to define anymore. The messages didn't stop. By the time my plane landed back home, my phone was overflowing. From Mom, Madison, we were just joking, you know that. Please, you have to help us fix this. From Dad, it's just money. Families help each other. Don't be stubborn. From Aunt, if you cared about your brother at all, you wouldn't let his big day fall apart. I scrolled through them in silence, each word dripping with hypocrisy. A week ago, I was the disappointment, the outcast, the one who didn't belong. Now, suddenly, I was the lifeline? I didn't answer. Instead, I dropped my bags in my apartment, lit a candle, and sat quietly at my kitchen table. Their desperation wasn't shocking. It was predictable. They had built this wedding like they built every facade in our family, with borrowed money, inflated pride, and the expectation that I would quietly hold it together from the shadows. But this time, the foundation had cracked. The phone rang again. My brother's voice, shaky, pleading. Maddie, please. You know I wouldn't ask if it wasn't serious. We just need $20,000 to clear the venue debt. Then everything can go ahead as planned. I laughed out loud, sharp, bitter, funny. I thought I wasn't real family. Silence on the line. Then a week, I didn't mean it like that. But he had. They all had. That night, I poured myself a glass of wine and posted a photo from my trip, me, standing against a sunset, free and unbothered. The caption read, sometimes exclusion is the gift. Sometimes distance is the cure. And sometimes, the wedding that wasn't meant for you was never meant to happen at all. By morning, the likes and comments rolled in. Friends applauded my strength. Strangers echoed my pain. Meanwhile, my family panicked louder. And I had never felt quieter inside. The next morning, I woke to a voicemail from Mom. Her sobs were dramatic, almost rehearsed. Madison, please, we didn't mean it. We were under stress. You're our daughter, of course you belong. Just don't punish us now. Punish. That word cut, but not the way she expected. I wasn't punishing anyone. I was simply absent, the way they had made me absent at every milestone that mattered. By noon, Dad tried his tactic, authority. Enough games. You have the money. We know you do. Family pulls together in times like this. Step up. I set the phone down and let his words hang in the air. For years, I had stepped up, paying medical bills, covering utilities, sending money into a black hole they never acknowledged. Yet, when it came time for celebration, I was invisible. That was the lesson they had written. Now they were finally reading it. Later that day, Aunt Lydia appeared at my doorstep. Her eyes darted nervously, her voice coated in false sweetness. "Madison, sweetheart, your brother's heartbroken. You don't want this on your conscience. Imagine the shame if the wedding doesn't happen." I tilted my head. Imagine the shame when your words about real family are the reason I'm not interested. Her mouth opened, but no defense came. She left quickly, heels clicking like a retreating soldier. That evening, I sat on my balcony, the city buzzing beneath me. I thought about the little girl I used to be, desperate for approval, clinging to scraps of affection, hoping one day they'd call me enough. But I wasn't that girl anymore. I didn't crave their speeches, their staged photos, or their shallow blessings. All I craved was the freedom I had already chosen. And as the night air wrapped around me, I realized something powerful. They had disinvited me from their celebration. And in doing so, they had freed me from their illusion. By the fourth day, their panic had shifted into chaos. The wedding planner pulled out, vendors refused service, and whispers spread through the community. The Cole family can't even pay their bills. And suddenly, their polished facade, the one they'd built by excluding me, was crumbling for everyone to see. My brother called again, this time with a tone I had never heard before. Not pride, not arrogance, but fear. "Maddie, I know we hurt you, but you don't understand. If this wedding doesn't happen, we lose everything. Our reputation, our standing. People will think we're a joke." I let the silence stretch before answering. "You thought I was a joke first. Remember Mom's words? Dad's laugh? Aunt's speech about real family? That wasn't just a mistake. That was the truth you believed." His breath caught on the other end. "We were wrong." The words hung heavy, almost fragile. But apologies aren't currency. They don't erase years of humiliation. I thought of all the times I had saved them before, slipping cash into Dad's account, paying off Mom's credit card accidentally, pretending I didn't notice when my contributions were swallowed whole without acknowledgement. Not this time. That night, I posted again. A photo of my plane ticket stub from the trip I'd taken instead of their wedding, the caption sharp but calm. "Funny how the people who don't invite you to their table always expect you to foot the bill." Not anymore. The response was immediate. Friends cheered, strangers applauded, even a few distant relatives messaged me privately with quiet support. And my family? Their begging doubled. But I didn't flinch, because I finally realized their approval had never been love. It had been dependence dressed as affection. And without me, they were finally forced to face the truth. By the weekend, the wedding was officially called off. The venue released a statement, polite but firm. "Due to unpaid balances, the Cole reservation has been canceled." The news rippled fast. Neighbors whispered, friends backed out of travel plans, and the perfect image my family had clung to shattered overnight. I watched from the quiet of my apartment, sipping coffee, scrolling through the fallout online. My brother's fiancé had posted vague captions about betrayal. Mom stopped updating her social media altogether, and Dad looked like a ghost the last time someone snapped his photo at the store. And me? I felt lighter than I had in years. That evening, Aunt Lydia left me a voicemail. Her tone had softened from smug to pleading. "Madison, we shouldn't have said those things. We were cruel. But can't you find it in your heart to help us rebuild? Your family." Family. The word tasted bitter now. Real family only means real family. Those had been her words, her knife twisted at the dinner table. Now she wielded family like a shield, hoping I'd forget how it had been used to cut me. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my journal and wrote, "Exclusion reveals truth faster than any toast. They taught me I didn't belong. And now I believe them." When I closed the book, I realized I wasn't angry anymore. Not in the way I had been. I was free. Free from their expectations, their control, their endless cycle of using me as a crutch while dismissing me in public. For once, Their downfall wasn't my responsibility to fix. And that was the most poetic part of all. Because in pushing me out, they had taught me the most valuable lesson. I never needed their table. I could build my own. And mine would never run on debt. The calls slowed after the cancellation, but not because they had given up. It was pride, their last weapon. Mom sent a single text, "You've embarrassed us enough. I hope you're happy." Dad followed with something colder. "Don't bother coming back. You made your choice." I read them both twice, waiting for the familiar sting. But there was nothing. No ache, no guilt. Just clarity. They hadn't disowned me because I was cruel. They had disowned me because I stopped being useful. Meanwhile, my life kept moving forward. Work thrived, my savings grew untouched, and my circle of friends, the ones who had always seen me, widened with new people who valued me not for what I gave, but for who I was. On Friday, a coworker invited me to a small gathering. I laughed more in one evening than I had in months under my parents' roof. No speeches, no comparisons, no invisible role to play. Just warmth. That night, walking home under the glow of city lights, I realized something vital. The family I had been chasing all my life wasn't the one I was born into. It was the one I was building. Still, I couldn't resist one last move. I posted another photo. A table full of friends, glasses raised, joy genuine and unforced. The caption read, "Real family isn't defined by invitations. It's defined by love." And tonight, I finally felt it. Within minutes, the comments lit up. Dozens of people cheering me on, some admitting they had lived through the same kind of erasure. My inbox filled with solidarity. And somewhere, in their darkened house filled with silence, I knew my parents saw it too. The same silence they once used to erase me was now their punishment, a silence filled with my absence, my growth, my joy beyond their reach. They had tried to cut me out, but all they cut was their own lifeline. By the 7th week, their silence cracked. Mom called late at night, her voice trembling in a way I had never heard. "Madison, we can't face people anymore. Everyone knows. Your brother's fiancé left. We lost everything." I listened quietly, my fingers tracing the rim of my glass. The family who had mocked me as the disappointment now sat in ruins of their own making. She continued, desperate. "We were wrong. About you. About everything. Please just talk to us." Her words should have been healing, but they weren't. Because apologies given in desperation don't carry truth. They carry survival. The next day, my brother texted, "Maddie, I need you. I'll pay you back. I swear." I stared at the message until the screen dimmed. He didn't want reconciliation. He wanted rescue. And I wasn't in the business of rescuing those who had celebrated my exclusion. Instead, I went for a walk downtown. The air was crisp, storefronts glowing with autumn warmth. A little girl tugged her mother's hand, giggling, pointing at holiday decorations. I smiled faintly, realizing how long it had been since I felt joy unshadowed by family obligation. For once, I didn't feel like the forgotten sibling, the outsider. I felt like a woman who had finally stepped into her own story. That night, I posted my last caption of the saga, a photo of my journal open on my lap, a single line scrawled across the page. Exclusion isn't the end of the story. Sometimes it's the beginning of your freedom. The comments poured in, but I didn't check them all. I didn't need to, because the message wasn't for them anymore. It was for me, and for the first time, that was enough. The wedding that never happened became more than a family embarrassment. It became a parable, whispered in corners of town halls, retold by neighbors with raised eyebrows, how the Coles built a celebration on arrogance and debt, and how the daughter they disowned chose silence instead of rescue. And me? I didn't feel triumphant. I felt released. For the first time, I understood that revenge doesn't always arrive with fire and fury. Sometimes it comes as quiet, steady peace, a life lived beyond the reach of those who once dictated your worth. In my apartment, morning sunlight spilled across the floorboards, soft and golden. My coffee steamed on the desk beside me, the aroma grounding me in a life that was finally mine. My phone sat silent, no longer vibrating with guilt-laced messages, no longer chaining me to the role of fixer, savior, invisible provider. Silence used to wound me. Now it wrapped around me like protection. I opened my journal, the one that had caught every tear and every revelation during these months. Pages filled with jagged handwriting told the story of exclusion turned into clarity. On the final page, I wrote slowly, deliberately. They erased me from their table, but in doing so, they set me free. I don't need a seat there anymore. I built my own table, and at mine, love never comes with conditions. That evening, I scrolled through the photos from the trip I had taken. Sunsets over cobblestone streets, quiet meals in small cafes, laughter captured in the faces of strangers who had been kind without knowing my story. Those images weren't about running away. They were proof that life could be beautiful without their approval, that joy could exist outside the narrow walls of family. The irony was sharp but poetic. They had disinvited me to celebrate their union, but in the end, they were left with nothing but fractured promises and empty chairs. I, the disappointment, was the only one who had found something lasting. I didn't gloat. I didn't rub salt in their wounds. I simply chose peace. And in that peace was the sharpest justice of all. Because when the speeches fade, when the guests go home, when the debt collectors knock, all that remains is truth. And the truth was this: I had always belonged. Not in their shadow, not in their script, but in the story I chose to write for myself. The candles on the cake flickered in the wind, but my son didn't make a wish. He was staring at the words in bright red frosting. Congrats, Ethan. Ethan is my brother's son. I glanced at the custom carnival rides, the cotton candy machine still spinning behind him, the clown juggling near the popcorn stand. I had spent $3,600 to make this day magical. Every dollar earned from late nights working double shifts. And yet somehow, this wasn't his party anymore. My dad clapped my brother on the back. We thought combining the birthdays would be more efficient. Save us all some money. None of us are made of cash, he added, sipping punch like it was nothing. My son was still wearing his little gold crown. He'd picked it out himself. Said he wanted to feel like a king for just one day. He quietly took it off. Didn't cry. Didn't complain. Just folded it up, handed it to me, and sat down on the grass. My stomach twisted. Did you even ask me? I asked my dad, my voice low. We didn't think you'd mind, he said. Besides, Ethan's in remission. He deserves something big. So my son doesn't? I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I simply started packing the leftover cupcakes into their boxes. I unplugged the bounce house, canceled the fire breather, and told the face painter she could leave early. They all watched me clean up the party I'd planned, the one they hijacked. Then I pulled out my phone and started scrolling through every future reservation, every vendor I'd booked for upcoming events. Canceled. All of them. No more shared anything. By nightfall, my phone had 27 missed calls. And then came one message that made my hands shake. The baby shower's next week. Please tell me you didn't. The baby shower was supposed to be my gift to them. A $5,000 rooftop venue, fully catered, custom cupcakes shaped like rattles, handwritten invites sealed with wax. But I canceled it. Every last detail. The minute I saw my son toss his crown into the trash, something inside me broke. Or maybe it finally healed. That night, my brother texted, "Hey, heard you were upset about the mix-up. Ethan loved it though. Appreciate you going all out." Mix-up? The next morning, my mom called. "Sweetheart, we need to talk." I didn't answer. An hour later, she was banging on my door like there was a fire. "Open up," she snapped. "We need to figure out the shower." I already promised everyone. I opened the door, not wide. Just enough to say, "You combined our kids' birthdays to save money. Combine your savings to throw your own baby shower." Her face turned pink, then pale. "You're seriously going to be petty over one cake?" she hissed. "No," I said. "I'm done being the only one who pays for everyone's celebrations while getting crumbs for my own child." She scoffed. "You're being emotional." That word, emotional, always used to shut me up. But not today. Good, I said. I hope you feel it too. Every canceled call, every vendor refund, every closed tab. That night, I got a voicemail from my dad. Your brother's furious. Your mom's crying. We didn't mean harm. Can you at least pay the deposit? We're counting on you. Then my son came up behind me, hugging my waist. I liked our party, he said quietly. Even if they didn't. And that's when I knew. I wasn't done yet. By morning, my aunt had messaged me. Then my cousin. Then my uncle's wife, who I hadn't spoken to since 2016. They all had the same tone. I know you're upset, but can't we just move on? This is about family, not money. You're really going to let one party ruin everything? But none of them had ever offered to split the bills. None of them ever checked the name on the invoice. I paid for the tent at the last reunion, the holiday dinner decorations, the surprise engagement venue, the family spa weekend that turned into an all-women's retreat without me. And now I was the problem? That afternoon, I got a ping from the bank. It was a reminder for the monthly transfer I'd been sending to help cover my parents' mortgage. $1,430. Every month. Quietly. For 3 years. I stared at the notification, then hit cancel recurring payment. An hour later, my phone rang.
Dad.
I just got a notice from the bank, he said. There's a problem with your payment. No problem. I replied calmly. Just a decision. He exhaled sharply. You can't do that. We're relying on you. Relying on me, I repeated. But not enough to save my son a slice of his own cake? You're being dramatic, he snapped. We didn't mean to exclude him. You didn't mean to include him either, I said. Silence. Then he mumbled. Well, what now?
Now.
I smiled. You plan the baby shower. You fund the parties. You figure it out, just like I did for years. And right before I hung up, I said something I never thought I'd have the courage to say. Tell everyone to stop calling. I'm not coming back. 3 days later, the baby shower was canceled. My brother's fiancé posted a teary video online, saying, We were blindsided. Things just unraveled. People promised things and disappeared.
People.
That people was me. The video got shared in family circles. Pity comments rolled in. Aunt Kendra wrote, It's such a shame. After all the planning. Uncle Ben chimed in. Families should support each other, not tear each other down. But when my son's birthday was hijacked, when his name was erased from the cake, where were they? Not one call. Not one apology. Until now. The doorbell rang that night. I checked the peephole.
My mom.
Holding a half-eaten tray of leftover cupcakes. I opened the door halfway. She didn't say hello. Just marched in like it was still her house. Listen, she began, placing the tray on my counter like a peace offering. I don't know why you're acting this way. I'm not acting, I said. I'm just done performing. She rolled her eyes. You're punishing everyone because of a cake. No, I said calmly. I'm holding people accountable for years of using me like a checkbook and erasing me when it's convenient. Her voice sharpened. Your brother's fiancée is devastated. She's pregnant, emotional. So was I. I cut in. When I watched my child walk away from his own party, crown in the trash, tears in his eyes. She flinched. Then I asked, Do you even remember his birthday? She paused. Blinked. Silence. I didn't think so. She picked up the cupcake tray, suddenly ashamed. We just thought you were okay. That you didn't need anything. I didn't, I said softly. Until now. She opened her mouth, but I shook my head. Tell them, I whispered. I'm not the one they should expect anymore. The fallout was almost immediate. That week, my brother's fiancé sent me a neutral message. Hey, just wondering if you'd be open to chatting soon? No pressure, just want to clear the air. She attached a baby photo ultrasound. As if that would melt years of being sidelined, ignored, erased. Then came the group chat revival. Mom added me back. The title had changed. Family Reconnect Revolving Hearts. I didn't say a word. They posted updates.
Pictures.
A new date for the rescheduled baby shower. Then suddenly, silence. And then, "We're short on funds," Dad finally texted. "Can you pitch in a little?" Everyone's doing their part. Except I'd done everyone's part for years. So, I did something I hadn't done before. I drafted an email, attached receipts, a spreadsheet titled, "What I've Paid for Since 2017. Line by line. $3,600, birthday carnival. $1,430 per month, mortgage assistance, 36 months. $2,200, grandma's surgery copay. $900, vacation deposit, they canceled last minute. $4,800, car repairs for dad. $600, baby shower venue, never got reimbursed. The total, $68,530. I sent it. No emotion. No threat. Just a subject line. In case you ever wondered. Within 10 minutes, I was removed from the family group again. This time it didn't sting. Because when my son walked into the kitchen that evening, he looked at me, really looked, and said, "Are we okay now?" And for the first time in years, I meant it when I said, "We're more than okay." 2 days later, I heard from Grandma. Not through a text, not even a call, but a letter, written in blue ink on floral stationery she always used. "I saw the spreadsheet," she wrote. "And I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I didn't realize how much weight you were carrying. I wish I had spoken up sooner." There was a folded $100 bill inside. She underlined one sentence 3 times. "Don't let them make you feel invisible again." I held that letter like a life raft. Because when the noise dies down, when everyone has turned you into a villain for no longer funding their comfort, you start to question if maybe, just maybe, you were too harsh. But I wasn't. Later that week, I saw a public post from my mom. "Some people forget what family means. It's not about spreadsheets. It's about love, forgiveness, sacrifice." I didn't reply, but I did screenshot it. Then posted a side-by-side photo of my son, one from the carnival, smiling with face paint, and one from the moment he saw the wrong name on his cake, shoulders sagged, holding his untouched crown. Caption: "If you define love by erasing children, maybe it's time to redefine family." I didn't tag anyone.
But they saw.
The silence grew colder.
The group chat stopped trying.
And yet, something beautiful happened. 3 old friends, the kind I hadn't spoken to in years, messaged me privately. "We saw your post. We're throwing a late party for your boy. Come." That weekend, he laughed harder than I'd heard in months. No crowns. No themes. Just a backyard, 3 dogs, and 2 water balloons gone wrong. My son looked up at me, cheeks flushed, and said, "This is what real family feels like." The final blow came quietly. A wedding invite slid under my door. My brother's. A glossy envelope, gold trim, RSVP code printed in raised lettering. At the bottom, in small type, "We hope you'll reconsider and join us. No hard feelings." No hard feelings. After everything. After erasing my son. After gaslighting every memory. After decades of me stitching every hole they poked in our lives with money and silence.
I didn't RSVP.
Instead, I sent a small card back, white, unadorned, handwritten. "I hope your marriage brings you the kind of loyalty I was never offered. Congratulations." I sealed it. No return address. But what I did return was power, to myself. I closed every autopay tied to their life. Removed my name from the insurance plan I had shared with them out of pity. I notified the estate attorney that I would no longer be co-signing any family documents without independent counsel. And then I made the biggest decision of all. I sold my house. Packed up.
Moved states.
Just me and my son. A smaller place.
Cozy. Sunny.
Uncomplicated. We decorated with second-hand furniture, paper lanterns, and drawings he taped to the fridge himself. One night, he crawled into my lap, whispering, "This home feels warm, not like before." I didn't cry. I just held him tighter. The next morning, my phone buzzed again. A voicemail from Dad. "I saw the listing. You sold the house. What about your sister's college loans?" We thought you were handling that. No greeting. No apology. Just another expectation. I hit delete. Because this time, my silence was the message. And it echoed louder than any crown, cake, or RSVP ever could. 2 weeks after our move, a package arrived. No return label. Inside, a photo album. My son's name etched in gold foil across the front. I flipped it open, expecting more guilt or manipulation. But instead, it was filled with photos from his birthday, the real one. The messy one. The one with water balloons and dogs and real laughter. Candids taken by my friend Jenna, who must have printed them and mailed them without a word. Each page shimmered with something my old life never offered. Presence. Not perfection. Not posts. Not pressure. Just presence. On the last page, there was a note taped in. You protected him. You chose him over tradition. That's what real parents do. I didn't realize I was crying until my son whispered, "Why are your eyes shiny?" I smiled. Because sometimes the hardest choice gives you the softest peace. That night, I deleted every remaining family thread. No more group chats. No more forwarded memes. No more just checking in texts that came only when someone needed help. In their place, I built something new, not from anger, but clarity. We started a small tradition. Wednesday walks. Just me and him. Every week, no matter what. We talk about the stars, dogs we saw, new flavors of ice cream. No crowns. No forgotten cakes. Just air. And feet. And love. And once, while watching him chase fireflies in the dusk, he looked back at me and said, "You know, Mom, I think you're magic." I laughed. Why? Because you made something out of nothing. He ran ahead again, arms outstretched like wings. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I owed anyone anything. I had already paid in full.